All right, back now with the latest on Diddy. Sean Combs back in court right now here in New York, fighting for his initial bond denial to be overturned. That was the big story yesterday. No bail. His defense team offering a new $50 million bail package. We'll get into some of these details. Now willing to restrict female visitors to his residence, produce daily visitor logs, and submit to weekly drug testing if the judge grants him bail. Entered that not guilty plea or pleas to the racketeering, sex trafficking charges he faces. And we have our legal panel here with me on set of New York trial attorney Misty Marris, entertainment journalist Segun Oluwu is with us as well from the Boston Globe. Welcome both. I'll get to you, Misty, in a moment, but it's something, right, Segun, to hear. That was a big headline yesterday, no bail. But now they say, all right, and we can put these back up. I think it's interesting. Weekly drug testing, visitor logs, I'm not going to contact the witnesses, restricting female visitors, and doing what they can to try to get this guy out of jail.
Yeah, this is begging, right? This is begging at its finest. And the reason that you beg, because of who he is and being in prison.
Right.
Like, the longer he is behind bars, the more he is susceptible to what could happen behind bars. So for him, let's get me home as soon as possible. I'll give you the keys to the kingdom if you will let me just be out of jail. It does not look good for him, whatever businesses he's still trying to hold on to. And the safest place for Diddy is to be out and not incarcerated. Personally, I don't think that it would make a difference. I don't think there's anywhere he can go right now or anything that he can do right now where a judge is going to say, yeah, turn all of this over and we're going to consider.
Right. What do you think, Misty?
Well, you hit on some great points because for this particular crime, so we're talking about these serious crimes, there's what's called the presumption of detention. That means that the defense is actually at a disadvantage. Prosecutors have the advantage here. So it's for the defense to show why there isn't a flight risk and why there isn't a danger. Those are the factors the court takes into consideration. And when prosecutors were focused on that danger, they said there was obstructionist conduct, that he could be communicating with witnesses, communicating with victims, using the same intimidation that we saw peppered throughout that indictment.
I mean, yeah, he's accused of blowing up somebody's car.
Right.
That, to me, stood out more than the flight.
Arson,
right?
Yes. Well, and so
the danger part.
Absolutely. The prosecutors were so focused on that, and that's why you see in this new proposed bail package, we won't have female visitors. We're going to have a log for everyone who might come. We're going to really keep track of who's in his sphere. Yeah. That's to try and sway the judge the other way.
Misty, can I just ask you a question as a lawyer?
Of course.
Because for me, I have watched his legal team what seems to make blunders at every turn. If a person is accused of intimidating witnesses, of violence, shown video footage of violence against women, why would his lawyer go out there and say he's a fighter? Like, the language that the lawyers are using, even to defend him, seems counterproductive to trying to paint a picture of a person who is, again, in our court of law, presumed innocence, even though our eyes, our lying eyes, tell us different. So as a lawyer, what language should have been used other than, he's a fighter, he's fighting all his life?
Well, I suppose you're right, the fighter, but I think what they're saying is, you know, he got out there on the courtroom steps, the defense attorney, and said, there's probably no plea deal in this case, that we're going to take this all the way through trial.
Let's do this, to Shagun's point. So one of Diddy's lawyers was on with Chris last night, Chris Cuomo. Let's play a short clip and get into what you're talking about maybe a little bit. Here it is.
We've been doing a parallel investigation at every single step of the way, talking to every single person. There's the same kind of universe of people here that he's been around. We're talking to people to show that we have a case. He's fighting. He's fighting. He's innocent, and he's going to be able to show it.
Here you go, Shagun's fighting.
Yeah, like, again, fire her. Like, I'm serious about that because, again, whatever you feel about this person, get better legal representation. We have video footage. He has intimidated allegedly intimidated people. But there is a countless, like, just documents of bad behavior, irrational behavior, erratic behavior. So when you're trying to say that this person is a fighter, when you see what he has represented and how long he's been doing this, I don't think that this legal team is giving the kind of defense that he needs. I mean, rest his soul, where's Johnny Cochran when you need him?
Well, there you go.
Well, I'll say they're all very talented lawyers. I get your point on Fighter, but I really do. I think what you're going to see is them trying to say that these are isolated incidents with individuals, and it doesn't fall under the sex trafficking statute.
But I ask you this all the time.
That's a technical legal argument.
I ask you all the time, Misty, what options do you have? I mean, lawyers can sometimes have a ton of options and sometimes very few, and you have to pick the least bad or the, you know, in this case. I mean, what other options would they have?
Right, and I think that's why you focus on what are the elements of these sex trafficking federal charges. You're talking about this sex trafficking through force or coercion, crossing interstate lines. We saw the defense attorney say that this is, a lot of the testimony comes from a victim who is in a relationship with him. Now,
right.
There were bad acts during that relationship, but it doesn't fall under this particular statute. So you're talking about those technical arguments, but Connell, I'll say something about this case because you have this criminal enterprise, the Combs enterprise. Some of what was found in those searches that isn't currently charged, the guns, the drugs,
yes.
the guns themselves, that would carry a mandatory 15-year sentence if those were charged.
And that brings
Yeah,
up
like the ones
larger...
with the ones with the serial numbers filed off there.
They were taken off, right? It brings up the larger point in all of this. We talked yesterday a lot about these freak-off sessions, these strange, you know, forcing women to do all kinds of things, bringing male prostitutes, all these details that came out in the indictment. But there's other, you don't need, I'm sure they'll say something, oh, these are just consenting adults or something like that, right? As strange as this might sound to people. But Misty's point is true. There's a lot more than just that.
Oh, there's not only a lot more. The courts will do what the courts do, right? The law is going to law, and it will be a while before they convene and everything gets detailed. But the court of public opinion, right now, where Diddy comes from, the silence that is deafening from peers and the culture that he sat at the forefront. Let's not forget, it wasn't just last year. He was getting the key to the city of New York. It wasn't just last year that he was partnering with Uber for commercials during the Super Bowl, for all of the things that he has accused of. This is going to take a long time, but the court of public opinion, I feel, has passed judgment by the silence. You're not hearing any of his peers speak up for him and say, oh my gosh, I couldn't see this, or I didn't think that this was him. Everyone is quiet because those freak-offs we talked about and those tapes that exist, who's in them?
Right, well, if I hear racketeering and I hear others involved, I say, quiet.
Throw away the key.
Yeah.
Yeah. To change the locks over at the Midtown Tunnel. All right. Thank you both. Shagun, thank you. Good to have you in studio. Misty, as always, as well. Pleasure.